This is the Gallagher Grand Prix here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, race 14 of 17 on a warm and humid Indiana afternoon. Scott Dixon on your screen creates some IndyCar history today. It is his 319th consecutive start. This goes back almost 20 years. That's a record that's going to be broken when he takes the green flag. Let's talk to the driver of the PNC Bank Honda.
How have you done it? How have you stayed in the cockpit this long?
Just plain and simple, man. I love racing, and I get to work with the best of the business. This team has achieved a lot and have so many of them to thank for what we've done. But I just plain and simple love racing, man.
What a fabulous celebration of the sport we love here at the world's most famous racetrack. Turn one is always a chaos point. Let's go racing at Indy. This is the Gallagher Grand Prix, and Graham Rahal with a great start. Lundgaard is being challenged on the inside. Truba, Honda, Andretti, Steinbrenner.
That is Alex Palou, championship leader, and his teammate Scott Dixon, along with Newgarden. Oh, that's terrible.
Scott Dixon's impossible comeback drive. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Giving Chase. And today we're going to take a look at just how Scott Dixon achieved the impossible in the Gallagher Grand Prix of Indianapolis. Let's get into it. After a lap 1 incident involving multiple cars, Scott Dixon was relegated to the back of the field along with Grosjean, Malukas, Herta, and Newgarden. Now, a couple of these cars went a lap down, but crucially, Dixon stayed on the lead lap, and his Ganassi strategist also made a perfect call, switching Dixon to the alternate tires right out of the gate. The key part of this being that Dixon had started on the primaries, fulfilling his requirement of running the primaries in the race. Because of this, Dixon could run alternates all the way to the end, and Dixon still had 2 fresh sets of alternates to run, where many teams only had 1 fresh set of alternates. One of those teams being Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan, and the number 15 crew of Graham Rahal, who put his car on pole and led almost all of the opening stint of the race. So while Graham Rahal was out front leading the field in nice, clean air, Scott Dixon was all the way back in 23rd with tons of work to do if he wanted to even sniff the top 10. Dixon got to work quick though, passing Grosjean along with 3 other cars in this first stint on his alternates. After passing those 4 cars, it allowed Dixon to get into a little bit of clean air and start working on making his tires last. In this first portion of the race, it was around lap 15 where cars started to trickle into the pits by about 3 or 4 cars a lap, but it wouldn't be until lap 24 that Graham Rahal decided to head to pit road for some fresh rubber, prompting this statement from the commentators.
Now, guys, the leader, Graham Rahal, dives into the pits. Lap 24. That's how far you could take these alternate tires. That's a big step.
To which Scott Dixon said, "Anything you can do, I can do better." 24 laps, Graham? All right, I'll take mine 26. And that's what he did, pitting on lap 32. But just listen to the tone of the commentary here.
Scott Dixon finally dives for the pits.
Yeah, Dixon was hoping for some more yellow after having to pit as part of that accident that Newgarden was caught up with. So Dixon will come in, but I think he'll have to make 2 more stops to get to the end.
So as you heard there, the general consensus at this point was still, yes, that was great from Dixon, but he's still going to have to make 2 stops to get it till the end, so nothing really gained there. But take a look at what happens here when he gets out of the pits. Dixon comes back out in 14th position with only a couple seconds to the car ahead of him, Jack Harvey. And just to reiterate, he was in 23rd, passed 4 cars on track, continued to run the alternates longer than anybody thought they could be run, but still kept up enough pace to pass 5 more cars in the pit lane, making it a total of 9 places made up within the first stint and pit cycle. Absolutely unbelievable from Dixon in just the first stint. And not only that, you see Dixon has gone on to used alternates here for this second stint, leaving behind a fresh set, something that will be a great advantage going into the final stages of the race. Meanwhile, Rahal on his 3-stop strategy was on a set of primary tires. You see, Rahal would have to run the primaries twice in this race because he only had 2 sets of alternates, and he had committed to the 3-stop early. The graphic shown here really gives you a great idea of just how far off sequence Dixon was from the rest of the front-running teams. It wouldn't be until 4 laps later on lap 39 that some cars started heading to the pit lane for their second stop of the race. And as drivers in front of Dixon continued to pit with their 3-stop strategy, it had the knock-on effect of giving Dixon nice, clean air to run in for almost the entire second stint of the race. Here at just about the halfway point, let's check in with how the commentators are looking at Dixon's strategy.
45 laps to go here at Indy. There is the PNC Bank Honda. Just going about it in a very workmanly fashion.
He is. You got to wonder just how much fuel he's trying to save. Are they committed to trying to stretch it, make a miracle happen? I just don't think it's possible unless they got a ton of yellow to make this work. Dixon going out right now. Let's take a look at Dixon's lap time, a 13.8. That doesn't look like huge fuel save to me, but nobody knows how to go fast on less gas than this guy.
I just don't think it's possible unless we see a ton of yellow. Those were the thoughts at this point. However, they did leave the door open for a little Dixon magic, saying no one knows how to go fast on less gas than this guy. So while Dixon was doing his thing, trying to manage his fuel, his tires, and go fast all at the same time, it would be on lap 48 that Graham Rahal would head to the pits for his second stop of the day. Rahal would opt for the primary tires for his third stint. Not that he really had much choice due to the fact that that's really all he had. He had one set of used softs left, but he wanted to save those for the end. A few laps later, Christian Lundgaard would head to the pits, shuffling Dixon into the lead of the race. And remember back at the start when the commentators were very impressed that Graham Rahal had done 24 laps on his alternates? Well, Scott Dixon is currently on lap 25 of his stint on used alternates, and he is still going strong, setting extremely competitive lap times. Now, after seeing this, let's take another listen to what the commentators are starting to think at this point.
Here is Scott Dixon. He leads this race. He last pitted on lap 32. If the numbers work out and everything goes his way, this is not out of the realm of possibility for Dixon to win this race.
Unhitch, I didn't think it was going to be possible, but once again, Scott Dixon has figured out how to go fast, save massive amounts of fuel. His lap times are totally competitive. He's got 6.5 seconds to Graham Rahal, and if he can go 1 or 2 more laps, he's good.
Wow, wow, wow. From I just don't think it's possible to if he can do a couple more laps, he's good, but this race is nowhere close to over. However, there is maybe a little carrot hanging in front of Dixon at this point because of this fact.
If he does manage to win today, it'll be his first win on the season, but it'll be the 19th consecutive year with a victory. He currently holds the record. He'd break his own record.
That's right. If 43-year-old Scott Dixon is able to manage a win today, he will break his own record and have 19 consecutive seasons with a win. Absolutely incredible. It would be then a couple laps later on lap 59 that Dixon would make his final pit stop of the day. Let's listen in.
And Kevin, I wonder, what do they have for tires? What are they going to bolt on to the number 9 here to go 26 laps to the finish?
They have a brand new set of the softer compound red sidewall Firestone soles, and that seems to be an advantage. They can last, so it could be an advantage for them. He's got to save a little bit of fuel to make it home, but might be this the day that Scott Dixon can extend that season win streak to 19. Final stop. You know the PNC Bank crew is almost always flawless. Can they get it done this time as well? They've got to get all the fuel in there as they can, and he is away.
So here we go into the final stint. Lap 60, 25 laps remaining, and Scott Dixon is out on his fresh alternate tires in 14th position, 33 seconds off of Graham Rahal, and looking to get past the Meyer-Shank racing car of Linus Lundqvist. Yeah. But fortunately for Dixon, Linus would pit at the end of this lap, once again leaving him with plenty of clean air to go out and do his thing. In the following laps, all the cars on track ahead of Scott Dixon would end up coming down to pit road, including the leader, Graham Rahal, the one who had been in control of this race for the entire day, started on pole, had effectively led the entire time, but now for the first time, Scott Dixon is going to take to the actual effective lead of the race, with both of them having done their final pit stops, and Scott Dixon is going to come out ahead by about 5 seconds, but it is not over yet, as Graham Rahal is not going to go down without a fight. He has not won since 2017, and he would really like to win today. Over the next 20 laps, Rahal would methodically dismantle the gap that Dixon had, until with only 2 laps to go, Rahal was in half a second of Scott Dixon, and he could now smell victory lane.
Dixon's getting squirrely coming onto the front straightaway there. I think Graham's going to have a great run right here, but I think Dixon...
2 laps to go, 5 miles to determine the winner of this Gallagher Grand Prix.
Rahal was unable to catch Dixon on the main straight with only 2 to go, but with more fuel, fresher tires, and with still 3 great passing opportunities in this last lap and a half, it seemed like Rahal would at least get a lunge. Let's see what happens.
Big key here is that Scott Dixon's done enough fuel saving earlier in this stint, which has been a lot longer than Graham, to be able to use that push to pass. 19 seconds for Rahal, 26 for Dixon.
This is the key overtaking point.
Let's keep the pressure on him. Make him earn this one.
Make him earn this one, they say to Graham Rahal. However, and to Scott Dixon, can he sustain the pressure, or has Rahal got something special over there in turn 7?
Dixon still with the gap through the chicane. They come down to turn 7. Rahal still not close enough for a lunge.
But with that, it was all over for Rahal, as Dixon would cross the line to finish first, achieving the impossible, spinning out on the first lap, being in 23rd position, and still coming back to win with perfect strategy and a perfect drive. Guys, I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.